Hello friends, this is Holly with Seeking Sela Yoga. Today we're going over this idea of energy, and the scripture that we're going to pull from today comes from Matthew, and if you want to reference the whole piece, it is verses 28 to 34, but we're going to focus on specifically 33. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. And so those preceding verses are all about how we are spending our time, what we are worrying about, and how we are spending our energies focusing on our anxieties. So we're going to jump in today. We'll have a seat on the mat to begin. Let's go ahead and sit cross-legged. We'll tuck the shoulder blades under, lifting the head. We're going to tip the head backwards, getting a stretch along the front of the neck. And then we'll come forward, tucking the chin into the chest, stretching along the muscles at the back of the neck. And then we'll take the right ear over to the right shoulder, crawl your left hand out to the side, and maybe shift your gaze to the floor and shift your gaze back up. And wherever you feel the most from this stretch, let's hold there, and we'll take a deep breath in, sending your breath into that space of tightness, focusing on trying to soften that muscle. And then we'll continue the circle of our head, tipping the crown of the head back, moving slowly and intentionally until that left ear is at the left shoulder. And we will switch our hands. Left hand comes to left knee. Crawl your right hand out to the side, sending your gaze down at the ground first, and then slowly changing your gaze up to the sky. And again, holding where you feel the most from this stretch. Taking a deep breath in here and letting it go slowly. We'll continue the circle with our head, bringing the chin back down into the chest. Inhale those arms overhead this time. Hands touch, and then we will bring the arms into cactus arms, opening the chest, again lifting the gaze. Right hand drops to the side. Left hand comes over, lean to your right, feeling a stretch along that left side body. We'll kind of fold forward here, left fingers touch the ground, and we'll send our left hip towards the mat, trying to ground in there, noticing how this feels. We'll take the hands through middle and allow the body to fold forward, allowing the head to drop in, and then continuing walking our hands to the other side, this time grounding the right hip down, noticing that stretch you feel along the right side body. And then from here, we'll come back seated up, and we're just going to roll the shoulders up to the ears and back. So forward towards the ears and then back down. Taking in a nice sip of breath, feeling grounded through all points of the body, making contact with your mat. And now we will transition to our hands and knees. So we'll take tabletop. Hands are below the shoulders, knees are below the hips. You're pressing through all points of the fingers, feeling grounded. There's a little bubble of air under the palms. Corkscrew your arms so your elbows are facing the front of the mat. And then drop your belly, tilting your tailbone up and lifting your gaze up as you take cow pose. Then we will exhale into our cat pose, rounding that back, pressing the hands into the floor. And then we'll come back into our cow. You can move at your own pace here, noticing how you are feeling. We'll tuck the toes and press back into a downward dog. You can keep the knees bent as long as you would like as you find your alignment in the upper body, setting up your shoulders, noticing the strength in your arms, and remembering to press through all points of the fingers. You can begin to pedal the heels, bending into one leg, straightening the other. You can bend generously into the toes, giving a stretch into the toes. And then we will shift our weight forward into a plank pose. We'll lower all the way to the belly, tucking the shoulders, taking locust. So you're waking up all the muscles along the back body. Your feet and shins and knees come off the ground. Your arms come out into airplane arms. Your gaze is lifted. And so we'll be here for a few breaths. Let's take an inhale breath here. And on our exhale, lower down, resting your cheek to the floor, whichever side feels right. On your next inhale, we'll come back up. We're trying to hold this for just a breath. And on your next exhale, release back down, resting the cheek on the other side. We'll come up one more time, taking our breath in, planting the hands, tucking the toes, move through your tabletop to return to downward dog. We're going to lift the right leg high, keeping this a closed hip posture, and then being very intentional about opening the hip as you bend your leg, stacking your hips, sending your gaze under the left arm, circle the right foot. And then we'll come back to closed hip posture, straightening the right leg, taking that right knee into the chest and planting it between the right hands, coming up into crescent lunge. Your back leg can either stay straight or you can find a bend there. Notice how this feels in the front of the left hip. From this position, we're going to come into warrior one. So finding a more stable posture. Your back foot comes out, angling towards the side of your mat, but your hips are angling towards the front of the mat. Find your strength here. The right knee is stacked over the right ankle. You're activating the muscles in that left leg, feeling your kneecap lift as you tighten those muscles. And take the arms overhead. Let's take a breath in here. And let it go. Let's do one more here. This feels so good at the front of the left hip for me today. Okay, we're going to bend forward from the hip. So keeping your posture tall, take the arms behind you, opening the chest, leaning forward, feeling the strength of that right leg as it takes on more of your weight here. Release the hands to frame that right foot. Square the toes towards the front of the mat and hang out in this low lunge position. We'll take a breath in. On your exhale, drop the left knee. Come to rise. And again, we're working into the front of this left hip. And we'll take an inhale breath, arms coming overhead, finding your stability. This feels a little wobbly. Try taking your right foot just a little bit wider. We'll take the hands to the right knee, shoulders rolled under for a few breaths here as we kind of pull our thoughts back to this idea of how our energy is spent. So I heard a story once that really stuck with me, and I want to share it with you. It went something like this. You have $86,000, 86,400 to be precise, and somebody steals $60. Do you spend your time chasing them down, hiring a lawyer and paying to sue them to get your $60 back? And after all that, you would find you have spent so much money, so much more money suing them than the money you would recoup, not to mention time and energy. And now, let's say that $86,400 is actually how many seconds there are in a day. And then that $60 is equivalent to 1 minute. And it's so amazing to think that sometimes the 1 minute of the day that maybe somebody stole from us, making a flippant comment, or maybe we said something we didn't really mean, or could be something silly like saying you too to the person who told you to enjoy your lunch at the checkout window. But when we really think about it, at the end of the day, should we spend our precious seconds on that, trying to recoup that 1 minute, thinking of what we could have done or should have done? Or should we lift it up to God in prayer and apology, in thanks, whatever it is? All right, we've been in this pose a little while. Inhale those arms back overhead. Hands frame that right foot, send that right hip back, toes point towards the sky. We'll inhale, shifting the weight forward again, really this time sinking into this pose, allowing that left knee to even slide back a little bit if that's available to you. And then we'll draw the right hip back one more time, toes pointing towards the sky. We'll bring the hands forward, tucking the toes of the left foot, bringing the right foot back to meet the left in our downward dog. Pedal the heels. And this time, our left leg will lift high, closed hip posture at first, being intentional about how we stack the hips here as you bend the leg and send your gaze under the right arm, circling that foot. We'll come back to straighten the leg, hips pointing towards the mat. Take the left knee into the chest and plant it between the hands. We'll rise into our crescent lunge. Again, noticing the right knee staying over the left knee staying over the left ankle. Feeling that stretch at the front of the right hip this time. Inhale the arms overhead. Now exhale, bring the hands back through heart center. We'll change our footing here to find our warrior one. So step the feet slightly closer together. The toes of the right foot are now facing angled towards the side of your mat, but your hips are tracking towards the front of the mat. Inhale the arms overhead. Tighten the muscles in the abdomen, feeling the strength of your arms as they're reaching high. Take a breath in and then let it go. Hands will come to find the front of the mat around that left foot. We are stepping into our low lunge, both toes facing towards the front of the mat. Take a breath in here. On your exhale, that right knee drops. And we'll rise back up, finding your stability again here. Taking a slight tuck of the tailbone to notice that stretch at the front of the right hip, maybe just a little bit more. Inhale the arms overhead. You're welcome to keep them here or to rest them on the left leg. So our scripture that we're going over uses the word seek. Seek first his kingdom and his righteousness. And when we seek something, it implies we're spending our energy and our time on finding something. And in this case, it's a relationship with Jesus and living in the Christian, living the Christian life that he has called us to live. So, how are you spending your 86,400 seconds? Ah, what a question. Let's take a breath in. Maybe we're finding a moment of acceptance for our season of life. Or maybe we are being motivated to evaluate how we could prioritize our time better. Okay, we'll take the hands down towards the mat one more time around that front foot. And we're going to send our left hip back, straightening the left leg, walking the hands maybe slightly towards your body and pointing those toes up towards the sky, getting a really nice juicy stretch into that hamstring. We'll inhale, bringing the hands forward, shifting our weight forward, really sinking in to that opening. Maybe your right knee goes behind you just a little bit more, slides behind you. And then we will straighten that left leg one more time, toes pointing towards the sky. And then we will walk the hands around that front foot. We'll tuck the toes of the right foot and we will step back into our downward dog. While we were here, we will practice our breath prayer for today. On your next inhale, wonderful counselor. On your exhale, help me seek your kingdom. Do that again. Wonderful counselor, help me seek your kingdom. We'll drop to the knees. We'll find a child's pose. So taking your knees just a little bit wider, whatever feels right for you, sinking your hips back. You can set yourself up here nice and slowly before you sink all the way down to the mat. Maybe play with the tilt of your hips as you're here and how this feels. You can come down to the forearms first. You can stay just like this if that feels right to you. Or you can bring your arms out straight, bringing the head all the way to the mat, stretching more into the shoulders here as you rest your forehead on the floor. You can rock the face or the head from side to side, feeling a bit of a massage here. Taking a nice breath. Wonderful counselor, help me seek your kingdom. We'll walk the hands into the body as we come back upright. And we're going to take the hands behind us as we transition on to our backs. We're going to set up for bridge pose. So lying on the back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor, shoulders rolled under. Notice yourself feeling settled into your mat. Take your hands at the floor and begin to rock your tailbone so that the small of your back is flush with the mat. And we'll continue that motion where we are lifting our hips like we're peeling our back off the mat, one vertebrae at a time, until the hips are high. Notice the strength of your back here. If you are welcome to clasp hands if you would like, propping yourself up just a little bit higher as you do so. And take a breath in. And on your exhale, release the hands and try to lower back down with control, one vertebrae at a time. We'll do this again, pressing the small of the back into the mat and raising those hips back up, one vertebrae at a time, clasping the hands if you so choose. Taking a nice breath in and letting it go. We'll do that one more time. On your exhale, lower down. And we will take the left leg straight, bringing the right knee into the chest. And we'll find a supine twist. So that left leg comes to the right knee, and the right knee twists over the body to find the floor on the left side. You send your gaze and your right arm out to the right. While you're here, you're welcome to move that leg up a little higher as you allow just some organic movement. You might feel this more into the glutes as you pull that right knee into the chest. And this is all gentle movement here, nothing that should hurt. And we'll return to the back, circling that right knee and allowing the leg to come out straight, bringing the left leg into the chest. This time taking our supine twist on the other side, taking left knee to the right side, sending your gaze over to the left. Your left arm comes out straight. You can play with how it feels to try to press the shoulder to the mat, or you can leave it bubbled up. Listen to your body. And again, if you'd like to play with how it feels, you can take that left knee up higher into the chest. Maybe you come onto the back a little bit more as you play with how that feels in the left glute. And then we'll return to center. We're going to take a figure 4. The right leg will come on top of the left thigh. And we will send the right hand through that little triangle, grasping the front of the left shin, hugging your legs into your chest, noticing how this feels, accepting how it feels. If it's tighter, it feels pretty good. You can also grasp behind the thigh if that feels more gentle. Go ahead and release the legs, shaking them out. And we'll do this again on the other side. So bending the right leg, setting up the left leg over it. Your ankle is about on top of the right thigh. Send your hands through your left hand through that triangle and either grasp the right thigh or the right shin. Listening to your body. If you'd like, you can hold on to your right leg with the right hand and even gently apply some pressure on that left leg. Just noticing how it feels in your body today. We'll go ahead and release, shaking the legs out one more time, stretching the arms up high overhead, pointing through the toes. And this is where we will find our Selah, that time to rest and pause, to reflect, and to meditate on God's word, which is seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and then respond however feels right for you. Let's take a couple moments here as we reflect on that. Friends, I am proud of you for taking the time you needed today to focus on God by being a part of this Christian yoga flow. I pray that you have felt the connection of your mind, body, and spirit as we've moved together through this. Our mindfulness highlight is to seek to spend our energies in life-giving ways. And that breath prayer one more time is this: wonderful counselor, help me seek your kingdom. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you next time.